Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Thursday, October 9, 2025 and I'm Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Richard Fitzgerald and we've got a packed show for you today. Some exciting stories to discuss.
The very first story is UAE has finally gotten an approval and they're securing the first batch of US Nvidia chips in a major AI partnership with the US. Multiply Group has acquired majority 60.8% stake in Gucci packaging partner ISEM. It's an Italian company. Riyadh Air has finally announced their date for takeoff. They're doing it on October 26th and they're doing it by doing a flight to London. But tickets aren't on sale yet. We'll discuss the details. And Oman is standing firm on their launching their personal income tax. We'll discuss a little bit of the comments that we received and we'll discuss them. But the very first story, before we move on to it, Egypt has qualified for the World Cup. It's a very big story, very important story. Apart from that, the Gaza peace deal has been signed and a lot of things are happening.
Yeah, Thursday, 9th of October. Yeah. So, but no, just before we talk about the stories, it's good to have a little chat. And nice to be on the show with you, Majid. I think, I don't know, the World Cup increased from 32 to 48 teams, so it makes it easier to qualify. I was in Cairo a year before the Qatar World Cup, and I remember watching the playoff game against Senegal. Both Mane and Salah were doing the penalty shootout, and you could feel the whole city drop when Egypt lost on penalties.
Yeah.
For a country that has won 7 or 8 titles across the African nations tournaments over the years, and with football mad nation really, and Al Ahly have dominated so well across Egypt and the continent. They've sort of underperformed, a bit like England at the World Cup, but Egypt have only qualified 3 times. 1990. Originally decades ago, but then 1990, and then also 1990, and then also in 2018 in Russia, where they didn't perform that well, and then so they lost on penalties, and they weren't in Qatar, and now they're going to be in the World Cup next year US, in Canada, Mexico, US and Canada. So well done to them. Obviously, it's increased to 48, so now when they top the group, they go straight through. So they don't have those difficult qualifications. They join Morocco and a few others who've already qualified. Jordan. We're hoping Saudi won well yesterday, so we're hoping that a few more Gulf teams get in. But why we talk about it is because these initiatives do have economic stimulators and national pride, but also there's just increased revenue opportunities. The values of the players go up. There's so many economic studies done in the past about national team successes in major tournaments linked to confidence and spending. Because economics is a lot to do with consumer confidence.
Yes.
So it's just an interesting one. But as you said, 2 years since October 7th, and then now we're October 9th, and a major geopolitical thing that's been hanging over the region, the genocide in Gaza, has reached a milestone where there will be, inshallah, some peace, and again, the ramifications of that and the wider stability of the region just has economic benefits as well.
And a lot of
human benefits.
Yesterday, Russian president, he also said, and BRICS has announced that they will make Palestine a part of their whole thing, the BRICS economic cohort, I should say.
So Palestine are getting into BRICS without fully having their own constitution or parliament yet.
They're saying that we would love to have them there, so when they start their redevelopment, we can help them become a part of it. It's a lot of things. The Qatar World Cup thing that you said, I saw very recent. Yesterday, I read something very interesting somewhere. One guy was comparing the cost of going to the Qatar World Cup and then now going to the US World Cup. I think FIFA has also introduced a dynamic pricing thing. It's like I tried to buy a finals ticket for the US World Cup, and it's $6,000. And he's like, I went to the Qatar World Cup, I saw 2 matches, the flights, accommodation, everything was $2,500. So he's like, one, FIFA, the dynamic pricing, so they're trying to earn more money, more teams, more money, more matches, obviously, gate money also. But he's like, that World Cup was my favorite because I spent so less and I got so much value out of it.
Yeah,
so there is that part also, yeah.
I've seen a lot about the tickets. People are complaining.
Yeah,
but FIFA made $7.5 billion out of Qatar. It was one of the reasons why they're coming back to the region in 2034. But look, they're a money machine, FIFA, and they're good at it. So World Cup's a wonderful occasion. Palestine almost qualified. Maybe.
And I think UAE has a chance. They have 2 matches. If they win both of them, best case scenario, they may qualify.
Yeah.
But thanks to like a broader pool of players, like teams, 48 teams,
it's
they have a very chance.
Yeah, there's more teams will be in the region, so we'll get more stories and more heroes next summer and more commercial partnerships and things like that.
But coming to our first main story of the day, it's a very big announcement. The United States has officially approved the first batch of export licenses for Nvidia's advanced AI chips to the UAE. Very important announcement. We've been talking about it a lot that it will happen, but in a major step in what is being called a new chapter in strategic tech cooperation between Washington and Abu Dhabi. The approval, valued in billions, follows the landmark US-UAE AI agreement signed in May when Mr. Trump was here. This bilateral pact is designed to deepen technological collaboration between both the countries, and U.S. Commerce Department officials confirmed that the permits reflect the transformational US-UAE AI partnership, which they're calling it, marking the first such approvals since President Donald Trump took office.
Yeah, so under the accord, the UAE has pledged to match the shipments, tongue twister there, shipments, with a reciprocal level of investment on American soil over the next decade. The commitment could reach an estimated 1.4 trillion. As Majid mentioned, a lot of this was signed during the president's visit to Riyadh, Doha, and Abu Dhabi, particularly earlier in the year. Positioned Emirates as one of the largest foreign investors in U.S. tech infrastructure. The deal centers around 5 gigawatt AI data centers being developed in Abu Dhabi, with OpenAI as an anchor tenant. Of course, their CEO was here last week, showcasing, and he will speak at GITEX remotely next week, showcasing the UAE's ambition to become a global AI hub. The US, in turn, plans to approve up to 500,000 advanced AI chips annually, with the initial batch representing a tangible start to that pledge.
And the new approvals signal a clear shift towards faster and more strategic tech cooperation, while earlier approvals under the last president, US President Mr. Biden's administration, were very limited. And the Trump team is moving to expand capacity, aiming to strengthen trusted partnerships and maintain a competitive edge over global rivals. Read China here, because they're trying to beat them. US officials have emphasized that advanced chips in the UAE will be operated through approved American cloud and data center operators, ensuring alignment on security standards.
Yeah, so the Emirates, meanwhile, has made an AI a national priority, investing heavily in infrastructure research and partnerships. This latest US approval not only accelerates those ambitions, but also cements Abu Dhabi's role as a trusted partner in the global AI ecosystem. I have an anecdote.
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, His Excellency Olama, the Minister of AI, spoke at a closed event for the Irish Business Network. And I didn't think much of it. You know, I think I spoke a little bit about what he said. He said basically is this sort of thinking about zero sum, like SMEs. You know, one person. But with 2 points. So SMEs need to invest in AI, and then there will be $1 trillion unicorn that's based around one person. So this sort of idea that AI is big, which is obviously important. But just anecdotally, I had a meeting at the executive office on Monday, and I was waiting for the elevators on the ground floor of Emirates Towers, and a group passed around the corner quite quickly and went into an open elevator, and someone said, "Come, come." So there were 6 or 7 Emiratis government officials, and it was His Highness Sheikh Hamdan who said, "Come, come." Oh. So I got into the lift, and I'm 0 to 43rd floor, and I froze. So I just said "Salam alaikum," and I just froze. I didn't sort of. But the way I was standing right opposite His Excellency Olama from AI Ministry. But it just shows how close the AI Minister is with the Deputy Crown Prince, the Crown Prince and Deputy Ruler of Dubai, in that sort of environment, day-to-day operations, and you just know that the AI, a lot of this is the story is about chips. It's about data centers in Abu Dhabi, and data centers closely linked, as the last part of that package we mentioned was clouds. Cloud infrastructure and hosting is becoming more and more important. It's actually the bigger piece to data centers, because data centers is physical, but clouds are linked to a data center. But it's really important, and a lot of politics now is, where is your data center? A lot of the TikTok thing in the US is, where's your data center? In Saudi, TikTok's relations is, where's your data center? And AWS signed a $5 billion pledge at one of the recent leaps in Saudi to open data centers there. So this is obviously linked to chips and Nvidia and hardware, but a lot of it is about clouds and data centers and politics as well.
And it's very important that UAE is trying to be a leader in everything AI. Obviously, Saudi is giving competition. They're trying their best also. There's so much literature, the journalistic literature that has been written, that Saudi has more space, more everything. But UAE signed the first deal, and OpenAI being your first tenant, makers of ChatGPT, the biggest name in generative AI, it shows that they have a lead. And Saudi Arabia, even if they're not catching up, they are head-to-head. Humane, we've seen, they've created a whole thing. They have Tariq Amin, and then they're launching an academy. They've launched a laptop just for these things. So they're doing everything. And I think it's not just the capital that has shifted towards this region. It's kind of becoming the AI capital as well, because everyone is investing here. If it's not US, it's the Middle East.
It's really hard to understand, isn't it? Like, who makes the chips? Why Nvidia aren't here? Humane are making laptops and chatbots. Why aren't they making chips? Like, there's so many different questions. Like, what is this data center, the big announcement? And then what's the one that we mentioned in the US?
Stargate is the main one, the biggest one that they're building. It's, I think, the whole thing is at least a $50 billion whole project, which was signed when they, all three of them, Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, Masayoshi Son, and OpenAI CEO, Sam Altman, and at a time when Trump and Musk were best friends, all four of them stood and they announced it. But one part of it is in UAE, Stargate UAE. It's the biggest outside US. It's a 5 gigawatt center that they're building here. To quote Peng Zhao, the head of G42, Abu Dhabi AI giant, and UAE AI giant, he said
he's also speaking at Chart next
week. He's actually talking to Sam Altman. It's going to be a very interesting chat. We'll tell you all the details. We're covering GITEX, and Expand North are the main stage for all the startups.
You'll see Majid there, the Smashi business stands.
But very importantly, he said that 1 gigawatt of data center requires at least $10 billion of investment. So this UAE Stargate is at least $5 billion of investment. And who is going to invest? Obviously, Abu Dhabi will build the data center, and then they'll try to earn money from OpenAI hosting their data there, making money. Very interestingly, I think you would have heard me and Word talk about this study recently by Massachusetts, and they said that 95% of the people that they surveyed or interviewed, they think that still AI isn't giving them the money back that they're putting in. So there is still not a break even in AI investment. If you invest $1 billion, there is no sure shot formula that you will get somehow $1 billion out of it. So I think they're working out the kinks of how to make money from all of this. But moving on to the next company, and it's also an Abu Dhabi-based company. It's Multiply Group. They've announced the acquisition of 60.8% majority stake in Italy's ISEM packaging group, a key supplier for luxury brands like Gucci, LVMH. I forgot to write the other two, but it's L'Oreal, Coty. These are the 4 big brands, and apart from that, there are hundreds of brands who they make the packaging for, not the product. And the deal signed this week marks Multiply's 2nd European transaction of the year and its 5th major consumer vertical since listing on the Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange, ADX, in 2021.
Yeah, it's interesting, a big move here by Multiply. So ISEM, many won't have heard of them. They're based in Bologna, which is a lovely part of Italy with a regional hub in Dubai. They specialize in high-end packaging from rigid boxes and folding cartons to clutch bags and accessories. The company has 11 manufacturing plants, and their reported turnover was 139 million euro, with rapid growth over the last 3 years.
And Multiply Group says ISEM's strong financial performance and global client base make it an ideal fit to complement its growing retail and beauty segment. This acquisition builds on Multiply's earlier 68% stake in Spain's Tandem, expanding its footprint across Europe's fashion and luxury sector.
Fascinating. The CEO, Francesco Pintucci, welcomed the partnership, saying Multiply's investments will accelerate global expansion and boost innovation. Multiply is a subsidiary of IHC International Holding Company, chaired by Sheikh Tahnoon, which is pursuing an aggressive global investment strategy, including plans to invest $50 billion in the US over the next decade. Wow.
Yeah, and I think that 1.4 trillion number, $1.4 trillion, that which His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon, when he went to the US before
he includes all these things.
Yeah, it includes all of this. It is
because it's
all
UAE
these deals.
Investment. Yeah. But isn't it fascinating, because we're talking about like investment in the US, but what they're actually doing is acquiring assets. Like Multiply Group. You and I imagine had a chat about it this morning. Like Multiply Group grew out of Viola Communications.
Yeah.
And then the lady that leads it,
Samia Bouazza.
Yeah, Samia Bouazza. So she leads it. They listed, and their portfolio is quite a mix. But they have this taxi company, advertising.
Emirates driving company.
They own Backlight, which is any outdoor digital out of home is having a resurgence, but outdoor in the UAE is doing really well, as it always does when the real estate companies advertise a lot. So they have a lot of good performing assets. The share price hasn't performed that well.
Yeah.
Can you have a
It was 2021, 2022, they went up to 5 dirhams per share. That was the highest that they've ever reached. But right now it's at around 3.06 to 3.08. It's very fluctuating. Yesterday, apparently, very interestingly, they fell like 2 points, 0.02.
Sometimes happens when a big outlay of cash goes out. Do we have any idea of how much money the 60% is?
60, but no, they didn't announce the number.
So ISEM are a private company.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting that these luxury brands don't do their own manufacturing. Like that's the second point. But just continue on the Multiply Group investment strategy. I just find it so interesting. Like this isn't a sexy story, but it kind of is. It's kind of like you're owning part of Italian quality manufacturing, like 60% of owning this entity which supports the luxury world, but also has manufacturing hubs here potentially, and then more in the region. It's just fascinating investment approach, and so Multiply Group are obviously taking these big stakes. A friend of mine actually, I won't reveal the detail, but he received investment at a Series A level for Multiply, and then they divested from it a few years later because it was the wrong fit, because maybe strategies change. So they're not necessarily a PE or a VC. They're private equity, but at a different level. And I think owning, like under the radar in Abu Dhabi, you've got Multiply who are owning profitable assets, like 139 million euro. I assume that's 2024 number, not to be underestimated, right? Like we don't know what multiple they bought at, what Multiply they bought at, but like just really interesting. And then secondly, manufacturing and packaging in general is just has a real role in this new world, right? Like manufacturing in general, like the innovation in manufacturing, but also in commerce and consumerism. Like if you're launching any sort of brand, digital native vertical brand or anything like that, it doesn't have to be an old school brand. Everyone needs a factory, right? Like if we look at beauty or beauty care, it's all about Korea. It's all about manufacturing. It's all about packaging as well. So it's really fascinating. You kind of, when you're producing a product, you've got to produce the ingredients in the product, whether it's FMCG or anything like that. Then you have to do the putting together the products. Then you have to do in whichever order you want. But you have to produce a product. You have to design the product, then you have to produce the manufacturing. So it's actually 3 separate things, and it's fascinating.
Actually, like 33% of your business, if Kayali or if Huda Beauty, if they don't have good packaging, flashy packaging, matches their brand style, they wouldn't work, right? A lot of, I remember, it reminds me of one time I went to the Dubai World Trade Center. It was Perfume Expo. And I was like, okay, I'll enter and I'll only see perfumes. There was a whole alley.
Is that Beauty World or is it a different
It was
one?
a perfume expo. It's a smaller event. It's just
Yeah.
2 halls, and it's not even the first 3 halls. It's the side halls. But the whole alley was filled with only manufacturers who build boxes. And I was going to the other side to Education Expo something, but I went through it and I was like, packaging. And then I went to one of the guys and I was like, okay, so perfumes. They're like, no, we only make boxes. We only deal in
Packaging.
boxes.
Yeah.
So imagine it's such a big industry that any product that you need packaging for it, right?
Yeah.
And I remember we had Tetra Pak. They have also a very big, but I think they are the people who take it from the raw material and convert it into a box, and then you can put your stickers and logos and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, manufacturing is one of the biggest industries in the world, not only here, everywhere. But let's move on to another story, and they also have packaged their press release really well. I was reading, I'll give you some hint before this because I was reading 5 different versions of this press release that Riyadh Air sent out.
Yeah.
Everyone was leading with something new because they wrote it so nicely. So Saudi Arabia's new national airline, Riyadh Air, which we've been hearing about all throughout 2024, they're launching. Q1 was the target. Now it's Q4 of this year. And to be honest, a lot of people are saying it's not going to be realistic because Boeing has delayed their orders. So Riyadh Air has officially taken to the sky with its first daily flight to London Heathrow, marking a major style in the country's aviation ambitions under Vision 2030. Everything is Vision 2030 with Saudis. The inaugural route began on October 26 using the airline's Boeing 7879 aircraft named Jamila. They have a name for the aircraft, even though regular ticket sales have not yet opened to public.
Yeah, so for now, these flights are limited to select groups and Riyadh Air employees as part of a pathway to perfect inverted commas strategy, a structured test phase aimed at fine-tuning operations before a full commercial launch. Dubai flights will follow shortly after London, with additional destinations to be announced for winter 25 and summer 26.
And the airline's fleet expansion is ambitious. 124 aircrafts already committed and potential to grow to 182 planes. CEO Tony Douglas says the gradual launch is about delivering a seamless, world-class travel experience from day one. And
yeah, so Riyadh Air is also rolling out Safeer, S-F-E-E-R. It's a loyalty program designed to build a digital gamified travel community. Early members called founders will receive priority booking and exclusive benefits. Full operations and ticket sales are expected once new aircraft deliveries are completed in the coming months.
Such a big story in terms of that the problem with all this is that Riyadh Air is ready. The planes are not there. Boeing hasn't been delivering planes to them. And it's been a very big problem for, I think, not only them. Emirates has ordered so many airplanes. They haven't gotten a lot of them. I remember when Piers Morgan was here, we shared a clip of him talking to the the president of Emirates Airline, Tim Cook. Something Cook, sorry if I'm saying the name wrong, but he was also complaining about the deliveries being late. So it shows that this area, this region is completely ready to expand in terms of aviation. We've seen Emirates winning awards over awards, Qatar Airways winning awards over awards, but Boeing is not delivering.
Yeah, I love this because it's, we get inspired by Emirates Airline and Etihad. We love national flight carriers. They're brilliant at marketing. Yeah. They create a great travel experience. They let us live our travel dreams. Yeah. They take us from A to B. Like, we all love a good airline. Yeah. Obviously, the airline industry is fraught with challenges and customer service issues and, like that. But I just hope it succeeds. I just really do. I think, travel and infrastructure is so important to the region, whether it's the different types of transfers, smart mobility, or the Etihad Rail, or, all these different things are happening, but having a proud, modern national carrier, I think it would just put some of the doubters on the new projects that come out of Saudi to rest, because it's all been about the giga projects and the cities and things like that. But I just hope it gets off the ground, pun intended, effectively. And there will be, obviously there'll be teething issues, but strategically, if this is a success, and the CEO there used to run Etihad, the same CEO, and Etihad has had a turnaround story and it's waiting to sort of go public. But if we look at Saudi alone, you have Saudia, which is the national carrier traditionally, although they're all probably indirectly national carriers. But then you've got Flynas, and then you've got Fly a Deal, and you've also got now Riyadh Air. There might be a fourth one in there, but that's three in one country, topped up by all the other ones in the region. So to see how they all fit and how they all get enough planes and how they all have enough thing, but seeing that they're going to be doing that Dubai Riyadh route, I have no doubt that the planes will be full, because that's one of the busier transit routes globally. I think it's always very busy. It's always very popular. It's really hard to get the right tickets
event
there.
season coming up, like you have an event here in Riyadh and the next day you have an event in Dubai. I think it's the most prime opportunity for them to grow. If they would have done it like 4 or 5 years ago, I wouldn't think they would be successful. The problem, the good problem that they have is all these three airlines that you said, they will be at full capacity as soon as Riyadh Expo kicks in 2030, the World Cup. So Riyadh Air coming in, eventually it will be full, because there will be so much traveling to Saudi.
So so two questions. So they mentioned London and that. So we suspect that Riyadh Air will do similar routes that Etihad and Emirates do. So we suspect that they will do, the San Francisco routes, the New York routes, in London. They may not do as much of the short, quick Jeddah, Riyadh sort of domestic flights. We suspect, but where does that leave Saudia? Right, because both of them are national carriers. Like, have you read about this? Like, what's the strategic positioning?
To be honest, whatever you read, it's like, since day one, since I found out Riyadh Air is launching, they haven't talked about any competition with their own carriers. It's always been about Emirates, Etihad, Qatar Airways.
You've got two types of strategic things. You can have premium and low cost. Everyone understands that. And then you have carriers that are more domestic. A US audience will know of 5 or 6 carriers that don't fly outside the US. Pretty much, right? I won't name them all, but like there's a lot of them that just do, because there's so many domestic, but then you've got like transatlantic carriers and things like that. So so it's just interesting. I think what Emirates have done a good job at is done the transatlantic, but also done the regional one. If you want to get on a more premium flight to anywhere in the Arab world, you can get an Emirates flight, but then you've got the low cost Fly Dubai. So I'm just interested strategically.
I think Flynas would be their low-cost carrier always. Flynas is the best in terms of low cost. But I think Riyadh Air, they're more marketing it towards ultra-premium luxury, because their business class is as good as it gets. They launched the whole thing, how it will look at one of the sports events. I forgot which one, but they launched it. They gave a whole view and the feeling of it. So their seating in that suite was like you're sitting in the business and the first class of Riyadh Air. So they're giving people a look of luxury. They will compete with Emirates and Qatar Airways and Etihad to an extent in the premium luxury category also. So let's see what they're going to do. I hope they're not going to be only targeting them. They also target like normal economy class. But coming to our next story, it's just a basic discussion that I wanted to have, because we had so many comments on this story, the Oman income tax 2028 rollout story. And the comments are really interesting, and I wanted to pick Rich's brain on all the comments. Is a lot of people are saying, is this necessary? Is this important? Is it a great move? Is it not a great move? So the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, his words, we had the courage to be the first. So, and the first thing I read was, I was like, what? Okay. But yeah, they moved it from 2026 to 2028. That's one move. I think that is why people were starting questioning, will they eventually roll it out, or will they keep delaying it till it becomes inevitable? But he's finally said it, that we had the courage. What is your opinion on it?
My general opinion on this is it's good to align with global norms at some of this stuff. So it's good to have corporate tax. It's good to have things like this, VAT in general. However, look at the story that you covered yesterday about the founder of Revolut coming here. I saw a post saying that, like, with capital gains tax, or the tax that if they do go public in the UK at a value of 35 billion, then he's down for an 8-9 billion hit or whatever on tax. And in the UK that would be 0%. In the UAE that would be 0%. So capital gains and taxes is fascinating, and we don't have to pay any tax on ETFs profits. US, you do. We don't have to pay any tax on crypto profits. US, you do. I read a whole book recently about a brilliant business owner in the US over decades. John Malone. He currently owns Liberty Media. He basically owns F1 and many other things. And the whole book, Majid, like the whole technique of his deal making is tracker listings or tracker stocks. So I don't know if I have the right word for it, but it's basically a tax avoidance sort of, or tax incentive structure. So but they're temporary vehicles. So Formula One won't go public, but it's a tracker stocks. You can find Formula One, but it's a tracker under Liberty Media for 2 or 3 years or whatever. So basically they do that. But the whole point is, like, the whole book and the whole theory of it, of managing capital, managing assets, and managing public and private, is designed around the tax structure of the US. So you can't take any learnings from it. So when you're sort of like trying to sort of see, how you would invest, or how you would structure a company in this region, you can't. You can't adopt the techniques used because that doesn't exist here. There are no taxes for at that level on those public listings and things like that, which is an undercurrent theme of all the stories that you cover about is basically all this inflow of wealth. Warden, you talk a lot about the non-dom incentive structure in the UK, but the reason why we're getting them here is because we don't have any of those things. Pretty much, right? There's corporate tax, but it's very, very competitive. And I think Ireland benefited a lot with a 12% corporate tax, and we have a 9% here. But other parts of the Gulf are a little higher. It depends on how you look at it. But I think basically, I do believe that governance and taxes are important, and it's important for people, but to remain competitive. So just have it a bit lower than everyone else. As you rightly mentioned, the first, I do suspect that there will be capital gains tax eventually. There will be income tax eventually.
And right now it's very low percentage. It's just 5% off. If you're listing in Dubai, it's 45,000 dirhams per month. If you earn more than 45,000 per month, you'll pay 5%, and it's a very nominal amount if you compare it to all the Western countries.
So taxing the rich. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's only the high earners, not the low earners. So they're introducing it. It's 2028. There's still like 3 years left before it comes into effect, and maybe they delay it more. But the conversation is now finally started. We'll see when and who comes to it. The funny thing about this whole story before we close up is that this is not something that they have thought of. It's an IMF program with the whole GCC countries. So IMF told them, and Oman was the first one to say yes. And they have suggested to UAE, Saudi, every country, but they can only suggest, they can't enforce it. So that's the good part, thankfully.
So likely, if I'm reading between the lines here,
it's likely, but not
over
right now.
45, 50k a month by 2030 in the UAE is going to have to stump up 5% income tax.
That's going to happen.
We're kind of heading that way, aren't we?
But still, lower than a lot of the countries in the world where
far lower. It's actually immaterial. If you think of Ireland, if you think, I was earning, say, less than that figure when I started my career in Ireland, and I was taxed 23, 25%. And if you get up to that amount, we're talking 40, 50%, not 5%. In some of these countries, like I'm using it for a reference, UK, US, some of them are a lot higher.
And I think when VAT came, a lot of people had the same problem.
Sorry?
Like, why is VAT here? Why are we giving VAT? But now no one cares about it, right? Because it's so nominal, but it still is 5%, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's, I don't know the economic, it hasn't slowed the economy down, for example. And as I said, I think it's important to be aligned globally. But I think it's also super important to remain competitive.
Thank you so much. That's a wrap for today. Thank you so much, Rich, for coming in today to the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business. We have a daily newsletter. Wherever you are watching us, listening to us, we have the link there for our daily newsletter. And I think I'll let Rich say this part today.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, Smashi Business Production, part of the Gus's Media Podcast Network. Big shout out to our more than 2 million monthly listeners across all platforms. You make this possible. If you're one of them, we appreciate you. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.